Here we are.
A little bit taller, my shoulders aren't.
I never did it. So I think that they, we're still working on the last one. And actually, the one before that, because remember, pandemic started in March. I would not mention it for now.
You have some
'Thank you. All right. Then I did send an email. Yeah. It was the first spreadsheet that the year the training did. The second spreadsheet I sent you, so I'll take that one. Email to Carolyn. Email to Carolyn about books. It's really for your
What do you just can't? Where do you go? Oh, it's over there. Is that the way we're running it?
Short stories we have.
Well, just so you know, if you need it, the way to buy out, and you need to like allow a minute to do it, because I've
Mainly.
No, I was gonna say that like when you get in a car, if somebody backs out.
If you get the fine,
Yeah, I tried with him.
I did it one time. I did it once about Would you like to be a perennial reader?
So, oh, and so when you make a change, send the update to.
I can see Oregon. Similarities.
There it is, March, this is actually 2022. See Ross for July.
Nice to see you. We don't have full food, but we do have some food. So instead of the opener, let's start with the food. Bagels and coffee over here.
All right. And we know you're, the ace at making, so. How are you, Dennis? Yeah, me too.
Watson, what's up?
Thank you for jumping on.
Right?
With all of this.
True.
I've been on the phone
I don't think I'm flyer.
Yeah.
Really? Excellent. Okay. I can make some signs. No.
Hey, Katie, move the hat. Move the hat. Move the hat. I want to see all the cash there. There you go. Rotary raising money.
Selling raffle tickets to help. All guys get ready to buy one.
Are we gonna get a transaction here? That makes good video.
$1 a day for you.
Just for you, it's a bargain today.
Three.
All right. You're gonna clean out your toilet there. Thank you. Okay, yeah, give it. He's definitely selling it right now. Oh, wow.
Probably not much.
If you look at it, it's a lot of
Yeah. I just get this email too. So, yeah, down these working. I talked to Ted yesterday, but other than that.
After the connected, a couple months later, she came and told me.
They survived. Nine calls.
Yes, they would have Mrs. Dan. Nobody knows. Yeah, just, it was so cute. Just so.
How are you, Mark? I'm doing fine, Pete, yourself?
Pretty good, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Last time I saw you.
The flip going. Well, you don't say, right? So anyway. Oh, he's very stressed.
That's the money from my. We wanna designate it.
Back in the swing of things with the raffle and everything.
Used to have it. Good enough.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Westport Sunrise Rotary. Do we need the mic? Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Westport Sunrise Rotary. It's not race time, so we should all get serious. This is how we raise money so that we can give it away. This morning, we are honored to have our guest speaker, Dan Woog. And for the opener, one of our most honored members, Tom Harris.
That's not true. It is, good morning.
It is great to actually be here and see your faces. I'm going to give you a choice of what I'm going to do today, because I did the norm, which was I'm going to go and look and see what happened on July 16th, which I will say today is a very prolific day. There's a lot that happened. The other side of it was because of what happened on last week with Elsa. I'm dying to give you a little PSA that's insurance related, but I know you guys are all going to. Do you want to? I'll try to squeeze them in. So, when you have water, Dave, you guys all own homes or you rent homes. When you have water in your basement, it is super important that you're careful with the words you use if you file a claim. I would tell you first and foremost, make sure you call your agent and discuss it. People use the terms flood and seepage very flippantly, and both of those are excluded by a homeowner's policy. We've had a bunch of cases that came up. I'll tell you two stories. The first one, the woman called the claimant directly, and she said, there's water seeping into my basement. What she meant was the water's coming up through the sump and was flooding her basement. One's covered and the other isn't. Depending on the carrier, if you're a discount insurer type guy and you pay for cheap insurance, those guys will immediately say claim denied, and you really, it'll take probably a lawyer to get that covered. The other story was more interesting. A woman called and she told us, she's like, there's water shooting up through the sump. It was $100,000 worth of damage. The problem was, the insurance company asked for it. What's it look like outside? The first question that I would say is there pooling water outside of your house right now? Because that's an exclusion on a policy, surface water flooding. It's not covered by a homeowner's policy. And the video that we got was the most horrible video I've ever seen locally with water. It was literally a flood by every term of the definition. And I looked at him like this lady is totally screwed. Except the teenage daughter and their social media habits happened to walk down into the basement with her mom, videoing everything like they tend to do. And sure enough, she got a video of the water shooting up through the sump before the flood actually happened. So that daughter saved her parents $100,000 worth of damage. But the point is,
She got a new car.
you should. But the point is, like, if something like this ever happens, if you're going to call a claimant directly, and sometimes some agents insist you do this. So if you do this, do not tell them what you think happened. Just say, there's water in my basement. When they say, what happened? I don't know. Because then it forces the adjuster to come to the house and you can have time to actually discuss and figure out what actually happened. The better carriers will actually do the due diligence and basically work it to a point where they'll find coverage for you. The cheaper ones will find every reason possible to decline it. So please keep that in mind. And that's it. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Tom. We're a social organization, but somehow I feel like I should call up Tom and buy an insurance policy. Say hello to American flag, just arrived today. We have bagels and coffee up here, and it won't bother me if you want to come up and partake. Of course, when it comes time to listen to somebody carefully, that would be our guest speaker, then we wouldn't want to interrupt. So, do we have any other guests? We have no other guests today. Dennis Wong is a guest. Former member Dennis Wong. We only see him virtually, and now this is the real Dennis Wong. He's an honored guest. So, Ron Holtz. Something about the gavel.
Okay, so, George? Okay, so for those of you who were at the changeover changeover event, at the Longshore, again, Rick got tied up, in the airport in Florida, so, we always have what's called a It's called changing of the guard, and we passed the gavel. And George has been holding the gavel in safekeeping all year. Right? So, George, if you would, and Jeff's going to take your picture. George, if you would pass the gavel to Rich. And
Hold on, slow motion.
Slow motion, here you are, congratulations. And I wish you all the best, and with the support of this club, you will have.
George, thank you, and thank you for taking the club through the most difficult year in the history of the Westport Sunrise Rotary. A small token of our esteem, not because we're happy you're not president anymore, because we appreciate what you did for us.
Well, thank you all, and it says here, to George, for your new spare time, and as you can see, I have sort of dressed for the occasion. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Also, George has, it's got a little bit delayed, but George has, we always give the outgoing president a plaque with a gavel on it, and it's engraved with his name and whatever. So that's on its way from Kansas. So as soon as it comes in, we will make sure George gets that.
Thank you. I think we'll start, if it's true that we're back in person, and I'm so happy to be back in person. We'll start our meetings singing again, but I think I don't have the nerve until Yvonne comes to actually put us on key. So we'll get to that. So happy dollars. I have the microphone, so I get the first two. The first is for our speaker, Dan Luke. I met Dan so many years ago on the soccer fields when my kids were kids. And he's one of the true assets of Westport. One of the people who make Westport, Westport. And I have another happy dollar for our very own Bill Harmer, who was Dan Luke's hero, unsung hero number 199 very recently. So Bill, wherever you are.
We'll take that.
Other happy dollars.
Happy dollars, anybody?
What?
No.
Oh, that's funny. Two happy dollars. One, because I found my badge. Two, because it's nice to see you all and shakes hands and gives some hugs, and it's gonna be a nice day today.
Okay, I'm really happy because my daughter got engaged last Sunday.
Whoa.
And, okay, this is so nice. So now we got the logistics, because she's in Colorado and she won't be back till November, and her fiance's in the live entertainment business. So who knows when they're gonna come back, because it's all outdoors all year round. I don't know what's gonna happen, but at least that's one step.
Congratulations.
I said, sorry. He said, no, none of the guys ever said to me or Jim, like, thank you for being such nice parents. We met him when he came about a month ago. He thanked us for that. And then he also said that again. So that was really nice. Imagine that. It's like, someone said, hello. No, he said, you've done a great job raising the mission. It's like, thank you so much. And like, you know, I was like shocked.
We're gonna give 5 digital happy dollars, so that would be
To me.
coming to Jeff through Venmo. On the marriage theme, my oldest nephew got married last weekend, first of the next generation. So something for him. Happy dollar for Dan for joining us today. Again, one of the great assets of Westport. And the rest for just being back in person.
Very nice.
I have a couple of happy dollars. Dan, nice to see you. I had 2 grandsons who played for Dan's soccer teams. Dan, Brian is at Boston U Law School, and he just had a year ago, he had a son, so I have a great grandson, courtesy of him. And Craig, who went to the very finals and lost in overtime, the championship game in the dark. He's in New York City now. So anyway, good seeing you.
Good, Jenny?
I have 2 happy dollars for the launch of the duck race, and in particular, the wonderful memo that Bruce sent out to help everyone sell tickets. It was masterful.
Okay, so I have two happy dollars. The first one is to honor my son Will, who turned 30 2 days ago. Oh my gosh, hard to believe. He's out celebrating his birthday with friends in Vail, where he lived for 4 years. He's been living with us, so I'm hoping when he gets back, he'll be ready to move out of our house again. But anyway, he's enjoying himself, so that's in his honor. And the other happy dollar is, Linda may be the only one in the room who might know what this is, but I just finished building a labyrinth in my backyard last week. So, and we kind of, I've had 2 events already where people have walked the labyrinth, and it's small, you know, it's modest, but it's cool. So if anybody would be interested in knowing more about that, just hit me up. All right, thank you.
A couple of happy dollars about the starting of the duck race. There's been a lot of preparation that's gone into it, and a lot of you put in a lot of effort, like Jake and Mark and Jeff and Tom, and there's been lots of people who've helped, and so I really appreciate that. And I'll talk a little bit about the details later on, but it's been really, really wonderful that you know, we said, okay, we can't do it in person this year, and people really stepped up and put a lot of effort in it. So thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Any other happy dollars? No?
Thank you. By the way, the new members may not know this, but when in the old days, when we met in person, and in the new days, we have this little raffle over here. It's just another way to raise money, and the opener brings in a bottle of wine, and that is the prize for the winner of the raffle. In the past, we've also had some items from Tom Lowry's attic. Tom's not here today, so, but here we are. This is, go buy some raffle tickets. Announcements.
Would everybody please be sure to read the crier, because I've scheduled openers and greeters well into advance, so there's no reason for you not to be aware of your assignment as they come
I
up.
apologize. Date of year, I apologize. I didn't change the date, I put
2021 for next.
2021 for, instead of 2022.
And I might add that the crier is a wonderful tool for membership as well. So when I am communicating with potential new members, I forward the crier so that they can just get an idea in advance of what we're all about. More announcements? It will soon. Yeah, Liz.
I guess you also emailed that the club's going out to Harbor Lights on the 28th, that's Wednesday. And you can email me or Sheila, text, call, or I'll pass out this clipboard. Okay, that's it.
This is an announcement not for the club, but on behalf of our host, the Westport Y. If there are any golfers in the group, the Westport Y Annual Golf Tournament is coming up the Monday, August 2nd. Talk to me if you're interested in playing and supporting the Y. Is that an okay message?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay.
We're not for profit, and so are you. I have an announcement. Peter Gold's application for membership was approved by the board, so he will become a member after we follow the protocol in our bylaws.
June 30th, or July 30th is his induction.
July 30th, big party. And as I recall, Bruce, you would know, the new kid brings the donuts, right? You brought the donuts? Just a little bit of club business. September 3rd is a Friday, right before Labor Day. We as a club just want to know if we want to meet. Some people will be away for the long weekend, so it could be a little bit of a light meeting. We could hold a regular meeting. We'll have a speaker. We'll have some little party, something, or we could all meet at the diner and have a good time. I'd just like to get a little a feeling, a show of hands, the Friday before Labor Day meeting.
So the actual date of that?
Friday, September 3rd. And parents with kids could be away because it's their last chance. Any opinions? Yeah, you get an opinion.
I'll be here.
Okay, that's one.
If you're here, Dennis, we gotta come.
Two. Anybody can't stand the thought of it? Okay. Fine, we have the two most important issues as our club recovers from COVID, membership and fundraising. So we want to give some time to each one. Bruce, fundraising.
Okay. All right, let me take just about 5 minutes or so to talk about the duck race. First of all, a show of hands, who has not seen the emails that I've sent out over the last couple of days? It's fine, just let me know if you haven't seen them. Okay, I've got you on the list, okay. Sorry about that, I sent it to everybody. So you see the duck race and the duck race ticket sales have started. We've already got several $100s worth of duck race tickets in the last 14 hours. This is great, we're off to a good start. Several $100s worth, so that's maybe a couple dozen tickets. Or a dozen tickets. So good, we're off to a good start. And as you know, that email is supposed to make it very, very simple. Just forward that to your friends. And people are very, very willing to support us. So I'm glad everybody has done that. A couple of notes. When people say, so when is the duck race? It's very important to say, we're doing it virtually this year. So it's a duck race raffle. The drawing will be August 6th after our meeting on August 6th. August 6th is a Friday. So at 9 o'clock afterward, we'll do it. We'll try to make a little bit of fanfare and stuff like that. I don't expect the public is invited, of course, to come and see, and they don't need to be present to win, but we'll be doing the drawing at that time. Okay, so let people know. There's still some people who say, that's too bad. I'd love to see those ducks on the water or something like that. So you need to let them know. Our goal is to have everybody sell 20 tickets. I think that shouldn't be a problem because, obviously we're off to very, very fast sales already. Just forward it to a bunch of friends and encourage them to buy more than one ticket. And one of the things, I don't know about you guys, but I hate asking people to contribute. I'm really shy about that. But then I realized when people ask me to contribute to their causes, I love it. I am grateful that they're giving me a chance to do something good with my money and time. And I'm very grateful. And I don't know if you guys find this, but over and over and over again for the duck race, people say, thank you for doing this. This is great for our community. I'm really happy you did this. It makes Rotary look great, but more importantly, it enables us to really support the organizations that we find very important. I personally try to think of a couple of the different things that I really, really believe in. The fact that we are supporting kids in their schools in Guatemala, that we're building a coding school for girls, a quiet coding school for girls in Afghanistan. We all know what's going on right there right now. I can't think of anything better to do with our time and effort right now. So that helps to inspire me past my shyness to ask. And so one of the things I wanted to take a couple of minutes here is to ask you guys, what are your ideas? What are the things that you are doing to promote this? I learned that the whole note that everybody says is really good. I learned that from Mario. Mario supported his note that he did, I don't see, 4 or 5 years ago. I thought it was great because I was kind of shy. I said, I'll just use this and forward it. It was fantastic. I had dozens of friends buy tickets. Yeah, so it's been wonderful. So that was a big learning experience for me. So I'd like to ask you guys, I know that a lot of you have sold tickets before and you have ideas about how you do it. So let me ask, anybody have some ideas about ways to promote and sell tickets to groups that maybe you can share with the group? Yeah, Joe?
In the past, when we did have face-to-face meet on the street, I would go up to people and ask them, in passing. Even though we're not doing that literally now, we can still do that in passing, and we'll be able to hand them a sheet of paper that says, here's our duck race, here's our promotion. Use this website to log on, and you can explain that it's, like Ruth said, it's for all of our organizations that we give to, international funds, local funds, and youth. So there's 3 different avenues that we usually give our money to. You can explain it a little bit more in person than online, but online it still works because you can reach a wider variety. So carry the pamphlets around with you And we'll have other apps that we can use to get people to log on right away to buy tickets. So there's no problem with walking up to somebody that you know and say, hey, if I'd had one today, I could have handed one. I have a happy dollar again, but I ran into Randy Christopherson at the Dunkin' Donuts this morning. Haven't seen him in like probably a year and a half, 2 years. And, he's doing well. He says, wishes everybody happy. And I promoted the duck race to him, but I didn't have an app or a flyer to hand him. So now I got to email him and say, here, Randy, buy a ticket. So that's the way you got to do it. Only more. I did. I came back. I told him to come back, visit us. We're at the Y. We're meeting every Friday again, and we're back in person. So just go out there and do what you can. Thanks, Bruce.
Anybody else? Other right?
Well, if we have people who are hesitant to ask their friends to buy tickets, would it be useful if they gave the contact information to somebody else, say me? And then I wrote to those people and say, our member Ron Holtz, who's too shy to ask for anything. And I would be happy to do that. I would write to anybody on behalf of a member of our club, if that would do any good.
Thank you.
So will there be flyers?
Yes, good idea. And Joe brought this up. Great idea. What I'm going to do is I'm going to repurpose what I sent you into maybe a PDF that I'll send to everybody. So you can just print it out and hand it to people if you'd like. And I think on that we'll have the website. We'll have maybe I'll put the QR code. Jake and I can easily put together a QR code. And that way, if you're walking around and say, hey, you want to contribute to the duck race? I said, yeah, you can hand them a flyer for the details. Go to this website, or right there they can just snap the QR code if they're so inclined. But I think that's a great idea. The other thing that just dawned on me as Joe was talking is you can just tell people the duck race is on. Go to the website. It's www.westportsunriserotary.org, right? Where you just say, hey, Google Westport Sunrise Rotary, or Google the Great Duck Race. It'll go right there. That's the easy way, and that's the way everybody does it.
Bruce?
Yeah.
I think the flyer is the best thing because it just takes them time to go into their phone and even put in our Westport, blah, blah, blah. But if they have the flyer with the thing on it, then they can just take their phone and get it right there off the flyer.
Great. I'll do that. So I'll put all the information that we got from that note I sent out, plus very prominently, here's the website to go to, and maybe the QR code on there. Anything else that we need?
Sponsors?
We've got a couple of supporters so far, like Hannah, that we can put on there. Yeah, that's a good idea.
And what are we doing to recruit sponsors?
To recruit sponsors, we're going to be sending out a note to businesses in Westport to ask them to become annual sponsors instead of just sponsor this event, sponsor that event. We're going to try to be a little bit more broad and go out to them with a note that says, we'd really love to have you as an ongoing sponsor. You get, notoriety with the notoriety is maybe not the right word, whatever the positive version of notoriety is.
Recognition.
Recognition, okay. You can tell we come from different backgrounds. So we'll get them recognition with our events and on our website, and that's what.
Bruce, suggestion on that is, we are a member of the chamber, and Matt publishes, he publishes a weekly blast. It goes out to all 350 members plus 1,400 businesses throughout the Westport area. Let's get something in there.
Fantastic.
And I will make sure that it can publish every week.
Yeah. Great.
In years past, when we had higher drug use in this club, some of us would walk around in a yellow suit. And Charlie actually has one. I have no idea what that is. Charlie has a suit that would fit Joe. We could put a QR code. They would take a picture, and all of a sudden, yes, I know, I didn't volunteer. You just got engaged or something.
Frank's costume in my house, I had to own 4 duck heads in my house, and 4 costumes.
So we might want to do that.
We could do that, actually, I think on the 6th, and then say something else on the agenda.
Oh, before the
That's
6th.
raffle, that's theme day, right? We could just make like a,
We have 3 weeks, that's the whole thing. We're
Yeah.
we
you
have
have to-
three
you know,
weeks.
this is another thing for theme
3
day.
weeks.
Yeah.
And it's a compact campaign.
Please, let's do ground up guerrilla marketing.
Yep.
Fantastic. You know, Joe had a great idea. He says, I could be walking around the farmer's market because he lives in Crumble, and so, you know, not many people there, but here, the farmer's market, walking around the flyers, promoting it, and he's always been very successful at selling a lot of tickets that way. So let's make sure that, I'll support you with putting the flyer together for you.
Okay.
But, you know, those sorts of things like the duck costumes or any other event, that'd be great.
Oh, Bruce, that QR code is actually a great idea because if somebody happens to take a picture of somebody wearing something silly or, you know, carrying something, it's really easy to quickly get to the website. It's a really great idea.
Good.
Just wanted to say, after you mentioned it, I did Google the Great Duck Race, and it does in fact come up as the first hit. So it's an easy way to avoid all the other stuff. People can remember the Great Duck Race.
Good.
Are we giving the same prizes this year, do you think, or?
$5,000, yes, $5,000 for the winner, $2,000 for the second prize, and 6 other $500 prizes.
Is that left on the flyer?
Yes. She's not here, but one other note, you could be loving but brazen, like Sheila. Where she makes a phone call and says, Michael, you owe me $25. It's like, what for?
We gave her a t-shirt that says loving but brazen.
No, but it's exactly, there's no one better. I mean, seriously, sort of corralling the troops or something.
Yeah.
Right? I know.
Sure.
Two things, one would be also, there's this, I don't know, Our Town, I think it's called, which comes out, which is for the communities around us. I don't know if anybody gets that. It's like highlights of the different activities. That's another vehicle or an avenue to proceed to just let, you know, be out in the public's eye. The other is contacting the other presidents of all the other clubs in our district and sending them the information, because when I was doing some of that, we got a few hits, but not many, but even still, it's worth, you know, just getting out there and letting the other clubs in our district know that we have this event going on.
And there's also some other, like a blog in town.
Yeah, there's some blog, 0688, what is that?
Yeah, he just asked
I asked
me.
Michael to send me this out. Hadn't heard a word of it until 5 minutes ago.
Somebody would have gotten in touch with me.
Okay, well, I know what we want to get to the end, so just a couple quick notes. This is our first fundraiser of this fiscal year. We're also going to be doing the wine tasting in a few months, and we're going to be doing the duck race with the actual ducks next year, so looking forward to that. Finally, we're going to be inflating Little Ralphie, which is the big duck, but not the enormous duck, and that is tomorrow morning. Those of you who volunteered to help, thank you. We're going to be meeting at Mike's house, his driveway, at 9 a.m. Inflating him, and we're going to be moving him around town. So hopefully get a little bit of splash and get a little bit of notoriety, and we are not going to be putting him in the water, so there's no risk of him falling over. But we've got the fairly big duck, the 10-foot duck coming, and maybe even the 30-foot duck.
Get the QR code on that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both of them. So when somebody takes a picture, it'll pop up.
Yeah.
Can we put him in the pool, the outdoor pool?
Thank you, Bruce. The new members should know, we raise money so that we can give it away. We have charitable giving that touches, I think, more than 30 local organizations. We have international service, which is reaching around the world. We do that in the direction of Rotary International. And we need to, and we have youth services, which gets out into the community and does leadership problem solving development and youth leadership development, I'm sorry. And we need the money so that we can give it away. So get engaged, get out there, do some stuff. You can help with Ralphie, that's another way to get engaged. George, you can open your present. Oh, I don't know what it is. Raffle winner, are we all randomized? Our guest speaker can look and pick the winner.
He said it was randomized.
Okay. The winning number, the last 4 digits, 2113. 2113.
Not today.
for the right to share this bottle of wine with all the rest of us. Somebody's 211.
Someone very
Well,
early.
it might be the person who gave the money but didn't want the tickets. Who was that? I forgot.
Someone very early.
Okay.
Give it to the guests. Give it to the guests.
One very early.
Shy.
Okay, let's try again.
2137.
That's me.
Oh, Tim, TW.
Right.
Yay!
I get to take a picture.
We don't see Tim in the running of the club because he helps run the foundation, but we couldn't do it without him. So yeah, just bring a couple classes next time. We'll make it right. Thank you. Membership.
I don't have a corkscrew.
Okay, do membership quickly. Liz, you would? Okay. Before I start membership, I want to give you an update. I want to give you an update on the district. We had a little problem. Our new district governor is Jeff Krause. Jeff, a very close personal friend of mine. And Jeff spent like 30-something years in the YMCA business. He was the executive director of the Bridgeport YMCA in New Rochelle. Jeff had brain surgery this week. He was taken at emergency to Bridgeport Hospital, and so he's going to be probably out for at least a couple months. Those of you who've been around a while remember Rick Bassett. Rick was in 2013-14. He was the district governor. He's the vice DG. So Rick is taking over. He's taking over the district, and let you know what's going on. I just emailed Tari and Ron Webb to see if I can get any information on Jeff. But he was scheduled to come to talk to us, but clearly we're going to hold all that off. So this week I went to the Noon Club. I spoke at the Noon Club, and I spoke at Norwalk, and today I'm speaking at Wilton. I have 4 clubs as the assistant governor, and both Westport, Wilton, and Norwalk. And I've been in close contact with Rick Natalia, with all of our presidents, and we're looking to really make some major inputs. And I'll have this job, the district jobs are for 3 years, so I'll be doing this for 3 years unless they can convince me to do something else. Okay, so let's talk about membership. Single most important thing for RI International, 7 continents. It's very important for us. I was talking to Ted this morning. He wants to know, is this person still here? Is this person still here? We're not really going to know. We're not going to know who's an active member until we send the dues out, and we actually see, who's paid and whatever. So right now we stand at 62 members. 3 years ago we were at 74. So clearly it behooves all of us to really get involved with membership. So we're gonna have some fun. Brantford Club, the president alone brought in 11 members during COVID. We had some great success stories in the past year. So I sent an email out this morning on email about this contest that we're starting. There's four team captains, Liz Wong, Paul Keblish, and our esteemed president, Rick Jaffe. And I'm also a team captain. I'll be calling all of them, and the whole list is here. We did it alphabetically, so no one can say, well, why am I in such and such team? It's strictly alphabetical. But all we're really asking, this really works. I can tell you, the clubs that have done this contest, you have a lot of fun with it. It's competitive, and I'm a very competitive person. And my team, believe me, we will. I'm going to be calling everybody, and I did this for a BNI group, and I had Zoom meetings, and we just had a really great, a lot of fun. So that's it. So if you have any questions, Liz will be sending you information on a weekly basis as far as where the teams stand. Just going to be a lot of fun. I can tell you without a question, in all 58 clubs in the district, the ones who use this, and in our zone, which is 22 districts, it works. It really works. So again, if you have any questions, read my email from today. I give all the information on that. And then the last thing I want to mention is, this is strictly, it's real simple. This is strictly just bring guests. Like, for example, next week at the Levitt Pavilion, the chamber has, once a year, we do this great thing. We invite all the chamber members. And it's, we have like 10 restaurants in Westport donate the food. We have several wine places or liquor stores donate that. There's probably going to be several hundred people, because when it's freebies, everybody comes. And we'll be passing out cards. So the other thing is, we have cards. Here. What? No, I know. Okay, we have Rotary cards. Okay, so all 4 team captains will have Rotary cards. It has your picture on it, whatever. On the back is where we meet here at the Y. So if you want Rotary cards, see me. If you think you can get out there and give these things to people, invite them to meetings, see me. You can have these done very, very quickly. Okay. Last thing is,
Ron, if there's time at the end, otherwise you get the first.
Last thing.
Yeah.
We ordered these.
No, Ron, you get first billing next time. Membership is very important. Anybody who's hesitant to approach somebody who they think would make a good Rotarian can give the information to me or to membership, and we'll approach those people on your behalf. We must bring in new members. I see from the sheet here that I have the end of the alphabet on my team, so go end of the alphabet. Thank you, Michael.
All set. The moment we've all been waiting for. Okay, so I don't think he really needs too much of an introduction. Dan Woog is our guest today, and we're thrilled to have him. He's made several appearances here with us. What I love about Dan, I've known him a long time now, having been in town for over 30 years. One of my sons started to play soccer and began a soccer career, but then quickly moved over to swimming. That's how we know the Kevishes. But I feel like Dan has a great way of keeping the town connected to one another. All age groups, all different types of people. And, growing up on High Point, being educated here, and then, testing the West Coast, coming back, but writing, coaching, teaching. I sort of think of you a little bit as the moral compass of the town, in all the most positive ways, whether we're fighting for the Osprey or we're, just think of all the issues that he's covered, and with a really nice degree of finesse, sort of getting us all to sort of wake up and pay attention to what's going on in our town. And I think it's what continues, he's feeding what we all know about this town, what we love about this town, whether it starts with education or diversity or the positive energy. So he's going to talk to us today about whatever he'd like to talk to us about. You never know what he has up his sleeve, but Dan, thanks for joining.
Thanks, Michael. That was a great introduction, and I don't know if I'm worthy of it, but here I am. We had the 06880 party last night down at Campo Beach. 2 years ago, it got rained out. Last year, it got COVIDed out. But we had about 150 people. Linda was there, and who else? Anybody else? You missed it. You missed a great time. And that was sort of what 06880 is all about. There were people there who grew up in Westport in the 1940s, Mike Calise and people like that. And there was a couple who moved here in April. There were people with little babies and people with walkers, people who brought food for themselves, people who brought food for everybody else, people who brought glass bottles that I had to tell to put away. There were politicians, there were normal people. It was great. And that to me was sort of like what 0688 is all about. It's about community, it's about getting together. It's about getting together with people that you may not necessarily agree with or know. But you know what? We're all one community. Let's figure it out. There were also people who had to pay that usurious $40 to get into the beach. But that's another story. I've spoken about 06880 to the Sunrise Rotary before, about the growth of it, the evolution of it, the issues we've had with public anonymous commenters. So I'm not going to talk about that. You can go into the archives if you want to. Do they exist, Mark?
Somewhere.
Somewhere. A lot has changed in the last 16 months, as everyone knows. When the pandemic first hit Westport, I remember going to that town meeting. It was a Sunday in the library, and people were sort of spaced out appropriately. We didn't really know what social distancing was yet. No one wore masks. And the tone of that was basically, it's probably coming and we'll need to take precautions. And 4 days later, the town shut down on a Thursday. And my fear was I will never have anything to write about. Everybody will be home, and that'll be the end of that. I had more stories during the pandemic than ever before. Everything from information, what's open, how do you get food, how do you get help, medical help, all that stuff, to all the things that people were doing. All these teenagers who were, collecting food or making errand runs, little kids decorating rocks. All the people who were the people in their 20s who were creating apps that tracked the virus spread. And I was working 8 or 10 hours a day. Out of that came a new feature called the Roundup, where I just threw everything that I didn't have any other place to put it, and I jammed it in together with a Roundup. And that was all pandemic related. And then it sort of evolved. And I'd always told people, you know what, I can't put your Rotary news in about the new president because I don't have room, it's not what 06880 is. And now it's there. I can put the little stuff. I can throw the random photos that people send me. So that's something else that has come out of the pandemic. And then in November, Gordon Joseph died, and Westport Now died along with him. His heirs, his son, who was about to have his own child, did not want to continue it, and his daughter had no interest. And all of a sudden, the town lost this really important news outlet. Gordon covered meetings. He did property transfers and had a daily calendar of all the stuff that was going on, and that was gone. And I did not want to become sort of the daily news source. To me, hell is watching the RTM meetings with the planning and zoning, but I gradually started getting people to do some of that. And that was just another way that 06880 has evolved. There is going to be a new website starting next week called Westport Journal, that's going to take up some of what Westport Now did. And I'm delighted to have them so long as they don't encroach on my turf. Over the past 16 months, as you all know as well, Westport has had more newcomers than any other municipality, town or city in the state. 672 new people have moved to Westport since March of 2020. Every single one of them has come from Manhattan or Brooklyn. I think there was a law passed. Those are the only people who could move in. And they came for more space. You know, they came to get away from their apartments and to get green grass and yards. They came because they realized that they didn't have to spend $50,000 on private school for their kids. You know, they came for more space to work from home. They came for all the right reasons. But it's really interesting that they have realized that whatever brought them to Westport and not to another town is really important. And Michael's nodding because, you know, he's thinking the real estate thing. But they came for the right reasons. And once they were here, they discovered that this really is a community. I hear over and over and over again how great Westport is. They're talking about, you know, all the stuff they can do here, and they haven't seen us at our best. They haven't seen the fireworks. They haven't, you know, gone to Levitt without those silly little pods that they have. They get it, but they don't really get it. And when this town really opens up, you know, and when they can see the duck race, when they can, you know, go to the Lobster Fest for the other Rotary, you know, I think they'll be amazed. But what they say all the time about 06880, and I had no idea when I started that this would be really important, is that they have learned about the community through 06880. They've learned some of the history. They have learned about things that they might not have known about, or it might have taken them a while to figure out. They've sort of understood our quirks, and they realize that you know, we get all controversial about some really ridiculous things. And as I have met these newcomers, many of whom are, I think of them as children, you know, they're like in their 30s, with their young kids, I am really high on them. I think that people who have moved to Westport are amazing people. They're active, they're involved, they're smart. They want to do something with the community. And in fact, it's a great opportunity for Sunrise Rotary to snag some of these people because they are looking for ways to get involved. I am really, really high on them. And I think my parents came here in the 1950s along with all the other post-war people, you know, and they created so many institutions. They created the Temple Israel and, you know, many of the organizations that are still around. And I think this is a somewhat similar time. Having said that, I think one of the interesting things about 06880 is that, and I get now it's up to about 15,000 unique visitors a day, unique readers a day. But if you look at the comments, they skew older, much older, and often more conservative than the readers. It's really interesting that a lot of the younger people don't comment, whether it's that they don't have the time or it's not part of, you know, their way of operating. I don't know. But there is, if you read the comments, you know, you would think that the only people who read 06880 are over 80 and are pissed off about things. But the readership is very, very different. Michael said one of the things I could talk about was and I definitely want to leave time for questions, but was Westport Today. And it's really interesting. For the first several years, one of the standard stories that I would write on 06880 was downtown and how dead and decaying and dying and tumbleweed ridden it was. And I've changed my tune. I think over the past couple of years, there has been a palpable change in downtown. It is, you know, you've got the 2 gelato shops, the dueling gelatos. You've got a really interesting mix now of Savvy and Grace, which is, you know, and other locally owned stores. You have got Church Lane. We've also got 2 hemp places in town, you know, a few hundred yards away, which is really interesting. You've got Church Lane, you know, which has undergone, I mean, one of the real good things about the pandemic was it opened up outdoor dining, and Church Lane is now this vibrant place with outdoor tables and people walking and music. It has been really interesting to see how downtown has evolved over the past just couple of years. One thing that has interested me is that Bedford Square did not do what I thought it was going to do. I thought it was going to change the pedestrian traffic patterns downtown. I thought it was going to really unite Main Street and Church Lane and Elm Street, and it hasn't. It gets traffic, but nobody's really going inside and using Bedford Square as a sort of new part of downtown. I don't know if that will change, but that's something I've noticed. In terms of the beach, I think the beach Campo Beach has really kicked itself up a couple of notches. Everything from that mobile or Moby mat, that the idea was that people with wheelchairs or walkers could get down to the sand more easily. And then they found out, hey, women, you know, and men with strollers like it too. There was the big Westport controversy over the bathrooms and the pickleball courts. You know, it'll ruin our view. The pickleball people, you know, won't be able to see the water when they should be pickleballing. You know, and then the bathroom is there, and how can you be against a public bathroom? But half the town was. And now we've moved on to something else. But the beach, Campo Beach, is really in good shape. Longshore is really interesting. I went the other day to the inn, and the town of Westport owns the Longshore Inn, and has not been a particularly good landlord, because that's not what a town does. But the new operator of the inn and the restaurant are the people who own the Delamar in Southport and in Greenwich, and they're top notch. And one of their executives lives in Westport, and he is making it his mission to bring the inn into the 21st century. You know, I had not been in the inn since I went to my senior prom in 1971, and it was the same chairs, the same carpeting. But that's going to be a positive change. And the restaurant, they're going to open up hopefully next week as a pop-up restaurant. Their issue, interestingly, is finding help. He cannot find cooks, bartenders, front of the house people, servers, busboys. He can't find any of them. So he said to me that the labor shortage is real. That's the thing that's preventing it. Two more things, and then open it up to questions. 3 more things. Anybody who's here during the pandemic knows how great the traffic was. You could get from one end of town to the other in 1 minute. You could roll a bowling ball down the post road and not hit anybody. And all of a sudden, in the last month, the traffic has become worse than ever, and nobody can figure out why. More people are driving on 95 in the Merritt because they're not taking the train or they're not carpooling. But that can't be the only reason, because it's at all hours of the day. Traffic is backed up on the post road from Wilton Road to Campo Shopping Center. And nobody really knows why, but that is if one thing is going to kill this town, it's traffic. And part of it is Waze, the app that we all use when we're somewhere else, and we think it's great. When other people use it in our town, all of a sudden it's horrible. But traffic is certainly an issue. Zoning and trees will continue to be issues. We are still figuring out what to do and how to deal with affordable housing. And there's much more of it here than people realize, and there has been for years. We've been a state leader in affordable housing and didn't get any credit for it. But that will continue to be an issue. So as we all saw, last week with the storm, when places flooded that had never flooded before, because our neighbors who clear cut, all of a sudden have sent, floods into our, am I allowed to use that word? Seepage, whatever. Those are, and that's going to get worse. And so that's sort of my take on the state of the town. And I have, 5 or 10 more minutes, Michael? So happy to entertain any questions. Yeah, Bruce.
You talked about all the newcomers, and yes, we'd love to have more newcomers. So you interact with a lot of them. What do you think, and you know a lot about Rotary, what messages do you think would resonate with them and attract them to us? Because I'm sure not everything we do is attractive to somebody who's just from Brooklyn or New York. What messages do you think would be helpful for us to convey to them, and how do you think would be a good way to do that?
Boy, that's a great question. I think the message is we are a group of diverse people who have fun and do good things for others. We are active. We are an organization where you can get involved. We want all kinds of different skills and skill sets. It's a great way to be involved in the town and to help others. Because these people really do want to help. Everybody's got their own project, whether it's, breast cancer research or literacy or whatever. Everybody wants to help, and the more you can tell them, here's a way to get involved and make the world a better place, at whatever level you want. I think that's a good message.
And we used to meet at Westport Inn. A lot of people are asking me, what's happening with it. I know the lights are on, but there's nobody there.
It is one of those mysteries of Westport. Jim Randall is involved, and I email him every month, and I say, Jim, what's going on with the Westport Inn? And he says, I'll let you know in a month. And this has been going on since January. It is one of those oddities of Westport that we don't have a hotel. I mean, we've got the Inn at Longshore, which, I think the same people have been there for, since my senior prom in those 11 rooms. We had the Inn at National Hall, and we don't have, people say, I'm coming to Westport, where should I stay? And we send them to the Delamar in Southport or, the Doubletree in Norwalk. It's bizarre. But something is happening. Something will happen. I have no idea what it is. I have no idea when it is. And they're going to open up another restaurant that'll last 2 months. I have no answer.
There's no catering either. There's nothing.
No. It is, and somebody's, paying a lot of property taxes for it. Prime property. I have no idea. Ask Jim Randall. Other questions? Yeah, Mike.
This is sort of an observation, and you just sort of hit on it. I feel like sometimes Westport is ahead of the curve in many things. When you think of the Inn at National Hall, was it a parking issue? But that was an incredible place. But we were a little ahead of ourselves with these, like the boutique hotel, this high-end boutique, one of a kind of place that was small and exclusive. Parking was always an issue there. But if you think about, I feel the exact same way about Barney's. When you tell people that Pottery Barn was Barney's, they can't even believe it, that you had a Barney's. Yeah. And it was Barney's and Mitchell's. I mean, like the fact that we had both. So I feel like sometimes we're a little ahead of where the rest of everybody else is around us. And that's a good thing, but sometimes if you're early and no one hears the message, you have to rebroadcast it sometimes.
Yeah,
So, I don't know if you think that, but I feel like that sometimes.
Yeah, we do two things in Westport. We tend to live in the past. I mean, anybody who's been here a while, you give directions by things that are no longer here. You take a left where Big Top used to be, you go past the old Cafe de la Plage.
Exactly right.
And at the same time, we also, the Peppermill, yeah, Peppermill, you go past the old Peppermill. Barker's, it was under.
That's right.
And at the same time, we also do, tend to do things, if not first, at least, we're ahead of the curve in a lot of things. And that's sort of the dichotomy of the town. A number of people, when I ask them what got you to Westport, they will say that, I visited and there was this vibe, there was this feeling. It's not, and I hate to throw Darien and New Canaan under the bus, but they say it's not Darien or New Canaan. At the same time, I'm sure there are people who live in those towns who chose it because the feeling for them was, it's not Westport, I'm not Westport. So even though we tend to lump a lot of Fairfield County together, I think Westport is different in some ways, for better and for worse.
Special.
I don't use the S word. And anything else that, Michael, am I okay on time?
Yeah, you're great on time. The one question I have is, are you ever surprised, I'm sure you are, of what stories or what pieces that you write for 06880? What gets the most traction? What keeps on living and going? And you're like, oh my God, I had no idea I was going to touch that chord. And maybe can you point out one or two of those things that you were sort of, obviously the pandemic was one thing, but like within the past year or year and a half?
Well, one thing that surprised me is that a lot of times the controversial stuff that I do does not get a lot of comments. I'll do something on a race issue or something like that, and I'll get very few comments. Then, I'll stick a dog photo on there, and 50 people, comment, and then 5,000 then send their own photos of their own dogs. And I've gotten used to that. I realize that just because people don't comment doesn't mean they're not reading, but they're not commenting. You know, having said that, I think people really do think in nuanced ways about really important issues like zoning and property rights. You know, the tear downs, and you know, people have all kinds of ideas about that, not just whether the big house looks good and the small ranch, you know, shouldn't have been torn down, but you know, what right do I have to do with my property? You know, I paid a lot of money for it. Why can't I do what I want? And people talking about town character and streetscapes and all that. So there's always a lot of nuanced stuff like that. I'll give you, I'm just gonna, this has nothing to do with anything, but it's a great way to end up. I did a couple of weeks ago, I did 2 stories when Jonathan Steinberg, the Democrat, announced for first selectman, and when Jen Tooker, the Republican, announced for first selectman. And I made sure that both stories were not only the same length, because I counted, but that the photo placement was the same. One up here, one here, and one over there, all the same size photos. A Republican emailed me saying, I can't believe you're promoting Jonathan Steinberg's candidacy. And a Democrat emailed me saying, I cannot believe you're for Jen Tooker. So I went back to both of them and I said, why do you think that? You know, here's what I've done. The Republican said, I didn't see that first story on Jonathan. I'm sorry. I realize it's fine. And the Democrat said, no, it's really clear by what you wrote that you're supporting Jen. So I realized through that no matter what I do and no matter how much care I take, people are going to see what they want to see. So it's, you know, I sort of threw up my hands and said, you know, I'm not supporting either one of them. If you both think that I'm supporting the other one, either I'm doing really well or really poorly, and I'll keep on doing that. So, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
This is awesome.
And we will donate a book to the library.
Oh, that's
great. Getting back into the scheme of that partnership. So I'll let you know once we choose it.
That is great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I would like to thank you to our speaker. Dan, I did have my own question. Again, what's the reach of 06880? How many readers and where are they?
I get about 15,000 unique visitors a day. About a third are from Westport, a third are from, you know, the area, and the other third are all over the world. And it's really interesting. It's people who once lived here, parents of people who live here who want to, you know, see what their kids are doing, people who wandered through once on the train. That third is all over the world.
Dare I say it? That sounds very cool. So I don't think it would pass the 4-way test. I'm not sure it's fair to all concerned, but I vote Dan Wu for speaker every week. I didn't mention birthdays because I wasn't sure we'd have enough time. Brian Strong, Charlie Haberstroh, and International Service Chair Abby Saferstein's birthdays coming right up. And Marty Berger's start date anniversary. It's hard to think we've had Marty around, but we have. So so I want to have a joke of the day. So I only have one good joke, and I have a number of dad jokes. Tom Ayers knows what I mean. Dad jokes are little stories. They're usually corny. They're very infrequently funny. And in fact, most of the time they're pretty bad. But in COVID times, when we were all home with our kids, Tom ran out of dad jokes. And so I had to start feeding him my dad jokes. And so he knows what I'm talking about. So I only have one good joke, and then I'm gonna need people to step forward, otherwise you're gonna get bad jokes. So which one do you want? Do you want my one good joke, or do you just want a bad joke so you can see what's happening?
Bad joke.
Bad joke? A piece of string walks into a bar, orders a beer. The bartender says, "We don't serve pieces of string here." Piece of string, very upset, walks out, has an idea, messes up both of its ends, gets dirty, ties itself up, goes back into the bar, orders a beer again. The bartender says, "I told you, we don't serve pieces of string here." And the piece of string says, "I'm not a piece of string, I'm afraid not." So if you don't want more of those, I'm gonna need somebody to step forward. So,
Way to set that bar.
so Ken Bernard knows what I'm talking about too, so he step forward, just let me know, I'll schedule you in, otherwise it's gonna be me. So, get engaged. We're the Sunrise Rotary, we get engaged, we support the community, and now with the duck race raffle, the community, we're asking the community to support us, but we support the community. Sell raffle tickets, help out with our ducks, little Ralphie and Big Sunny, and when we need to be moved, get involved with our hands-on committee, which is one of the true strengths of our club. Help out with the membership drive. I did want to mention something that Michael brought up before. Sheila was much worse than Michael described us. Sheila would pick out her coworkers and customers and everybody else she knows, which is everybody, and decide how many tickets they were going to buy, and then inform them of how much money they owed her. So, this is really terrible, but. Yeah, I mean, talk about hitting a fly with a sledgehammer. That's our Sheila, but year after year after year, she was up among or at the top of our ticket sellers. So I also in the fundraising area on Facebook, the easiest thing in the world is like 2 clicks to start a birthday fundraiser. And so for my birthday last month, I did a fundraiser on Westport, and some people that are my friends on Facebook contributed. So it's just an easy way to bring in a few bucks for the Westport Sunrise Rotary. So thanks for coming. Enjoy the sunrise, and our meeting is adjourned.